World versus World is dead, Sneb. How am I on a dead matchup? How is this possible? There's zero, like, Z content. There's zero content, dude. I'm here. I'm trying to poke things with my spear, right? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pump.
You're spearing.
How have you found the activity in World versus World? Actually, we actually need to have a bit of a
I think it's
conversation
blasting,
about this.
man.
You think it's blasting?
I think it's fine.
Like, I've got nothing. There's zero content right now, like, on any of the Borderlands. What is this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I go into World versus World. Chomp finds me, griefs me for 20 minutes, and then I log out.
Oh, so wait, Chomp's farmed you on Core Mesmer. You've been farmed.
Yeah, I have been farmed.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I will say this: in my matchup, it does actually feel less active than before now. Like, there's like a big spike of activity at reset, and then it's like it's now it feels dead. I don't know what's going on there, to be honest.
Well, I actually think there's some interesting things going on with this. I think it will take time for this to be refined.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think is very weird is if you didn't have a community, you still kind of had a community because you were on the server and that was your community. But if you don't, like, people had been on Boarless Pass for like 10 years, right? But now it's just very new and people are all split up. And so they've lost their sense of community. And I think that makes it a little bit weird. They just have to rebuild the community, basically.
Yeah.
I'm also a bit confused about how some of this stuff works. Like, I'm going to sound like a total idiot, but if you're a solo player, do you just get thrown into matchups randomly every 6 weeks or whatever?
Well, in theory, not randomly. It will try and put you with people who kind of play at the same time as you and the same way as you. But yeah, broadly speaking, you just get thrown into the mix, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's weird. Every 6 weeks, you have like a totally new group of friends, basically?
Yeah.
So,
well,
like,
as long as you're not in any guild.
If you don't pick... Well, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Is like there were people that weren't in guilds, but they had been on that server forever, and now they're just playing with different people all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're either gonna have to join a guild or it's just gonna be weird now.
Yeah, I think that's there certainly is a bit of a downside to moving away from like distinct servers. That's for sure. I do think it is kind of a worthy trade-off though, because I think it... Okay, so this is kind of my read on it. I feel like a lot of the changes ArenaNet is trying to make towards World versus World and PvP is making it more new player friendly, right? You know, with like adding a new game mode, like improving the rewards, and then of course the world restructuring. I think their really big goal is to make it so that new players can jump in and play easier. And I think that's kind of like their main goal. It definitely does have some downsides to it, and the player base will take some time to to adapt, I think. But yeah, no, we'll
I mean,
see.
there's even questions like this: what server do you recommend to start as a new player? Now the server thing is just confusing to people. Like, why even bother picking the servers now? The servers don't matter anymore at all.
Yeah,
Zero.
it's kind of weird to me that
NA or EU.
It's really weird that interface is still there, right? Like, you still actually can pick any server, and I guess as partners, right, we can transfer to any server, but it just doesn't do anything, right? It literally does nothing, which is kind of weird, I guess.
It's very strange. So, so I would understand why a new player would be confused by that. Yeah, just muddies things. So the answer to that question is it doesn't matter what server you pick. If you live in EU, you probably want to go EU because of time zones and stuff with other players and ping. And if you're on NA, you know, play on the NA servers. But you can pick literally any server. It doesn't matter. For World versus World, you should probably just find a community and play with them. Like, represent their guild or choose their guild as the World versus World guild. Like, I do that with an Alliance guild. I also, I do question, it must have just been an ease thing, but the 6th guild slot, I'm like grateful for it and everything, but it's also kind of weird. Like, why couldn't we just click a button and, why couldn't there be like a different interface for it? Maybe it was just too complicated to make that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit
weird
scuffed
for the guild system.
It's a bit scuffed. I definitely agree. Interface is definitely not one of the things that ArenaNet has an easy time with. Let's put it like that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. It definitely is. Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things, like Kat's talking about how there's a lot less roaming, and that I actually agree. I've really noticed that too. It's like usually guild groups going around right now. I think that was already happening post world restructuring, pre-world restructuring actually. But I definitely think you're right. It's been exacerbated, I think, because you're gonna have to actually like find like a little roaming community if you want to get involved in that type of playstyle right now. I think because it does feel there's a lot like less random people wandering around in a lot of these situations. It's mostly groups, and larger groups, all that kind of stuff. I would say is kind of what's going on in World versus World right now. Okay, I will say this, and look, people are going to say I'm coping here. Look, I promise you guys, this is not cope. I really think that if you want to bring roaming back and kind of make roaming a thing, then what needs to happen is you need to make the objective actually matter. I think that's where adding some kind of competitive architecture will actually really help. Because the moment that controlling the map and actually holding the objectives matters, that's when roaming becomes extremely important. You're going to need small groups and even single players who will go and get camps to deny supply and also to funnel supply to your own structures. You're going to need small groups of players that will hold the line until the larger groups can arrive to actually defend your objectives, like covert operations like steal a tower or distract enemies, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's when that type of play becomes not only really rewarding, but really important as well. Like, right now, one of the reasons I feel like people don't really do that kind of stuff is because, you can, it's kind of just fun to, like, slam with the gang, right? You get in a group, you go, yo, let's fucking farm everyone, let's go, boys. And you get the Giga Blob going, you just roll everything, right? You just go crazy. But I think that as soon as we get into a situation where it actually is going to be valuable to control the map a little bit more, I think is where you're going to see that player behavior start to change a little bit too. Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Link. I think Link is also right here. He's talking about how a lot of commanders are kind of have left the game, and also the ones that haven't typically play private as well. And actually, I think we talked about this before, Sneb, but it's for a very similar reason that, like, people don't really use the LFG in Guild Wars 2, is that a lot of players are just not responsive, right? Like, they will not listen to you. They don't want to, they don't want to play ball, basically. And, people refuse to, like, adapt and, like, play builds and stuff, basically.
Yeah, I've got a good, and I hope that Azure won't mind me talking about this, but I think Azure is like an excellent commander. Yeah. And I really enjoy running with Azure. However, I have noticed something very important. We'll like lose a fight, and Azure will be able to identify what the problem is. It'll be like, oh, we don't have enough damage, or oh, we don't have enough support. But then we can't do anything to fix it because we're public tagging. Half the squad is running around with their eyes closed. Yeah. and they're not engaged at all. And so we just, like, there's just no way to fix it. So we're just forced to lose lots of these fights. Now, there's some times when we have enough people in voice that we can fix it. But this just reinforces why people prefer a situation where everyone is in Discord or everyone is engaged. And I don't know, I just feel kind of... I feel like World versus World is in a very tricky situation. It's easily one of the most fun game modes, but because there's no real like objective tied to it, like people don't really focus on that stuff. You're just kind of, I don't know. It's tough to get new people into World versus World. I view World versus World as the most difficult game mode to get into. Would you agree?
As an individual, no. As a group, maybe. Maybe, yeah. Because I think that World vs. World has a buy-in, right? Like, you have... Okay, I think World vs. World is kind of interesting. I view it as very similar to Raids, actually, right? Like, if you don't buy in you are not going to have a fun time. So in other words, if you basically go into World vs. World with a PvE build, you are going to get fucking destroyed. Like absolutely annihilated.
Yep. Annihilated.
And if you don't have that buy-in, it's not going to be fun, especially as a group. Like if you're a PvE guild and you don't, and I think this is kind of the issue. You kind of have to like, you kind of have to like pre-commit if you want to play as a group, right? If you're like a guild and you want to get in, if you don't get the builds, you are going to get farmed. And also, even if you do have the builds as a new player in World vs. World, you're also going to get farmed. Like that's the other thing that's going to happen. So you kind of have to have a bit of a backbone, right, to kind of survive that environment, I think. But as an individual, I feel like World vs. World is super easy to get into. Because like you just like get your build, then boom, you're in. Right, like you're in immediately. I feel like there's like almost no barrier to entry into World vs. World because it's open world. It's open world, right? Like you just get in there and start playing. You know what I'm saying? And also, like you do have to socialize, and I guess that is a barrier. Like if you want to get involved in the community, right, you have to talk to people, right? Like, and that, you know, that's definitely a step that you have to take. But I feel like it's kind of the same as raids, really.
Yeah. Like, I tried to kind of get into commanding and stuff, but you're in this very interesting conundrum. And I am just kind of thinking out loud. Okay, so here's the conundrum. Let's say that I want to get into commanding, and I want to learn how to command.
Okay.
I need people to follow me. And it turns out that the people that are good at World versus World, they just aren't really interested in following a new commander. And fair enough, right? Because there are a bunch of commanders out there who are really experienced and they have really good fights and stuff. Following me will lead you to certain doom and despair. For a while, like it'll take me a while to learn it, but people just aren't really interested in investing in that. And again, I'm not complaining about that. I do not blame them. It's the same thing with it's the same kind of thing with raids, right? You want to join an experienced group, yada yada yada.
Well, I think that's because,
but what this means,
I think you have to do it the other way around, though, right? Like if I was going to get into commanding in World versus World, this is what I did when I started playing World versus World. I joined other people first, right? You know, I followed other groups. I was on Discord. I was listening to comms. I was learning how they did it, right? And then I started doing it myself. Right, like I think that's the way you got to do it. I think if you just go in vanilla,
but there is one big distinction.
If you go in vanilla, you're gonna get farmed. You absolutely, yeah, it's gonna be rough, 100%. I think you definitely have to kind of do. You have to do the learning first. I think for sure. It's a lot of effort. Like commanding is hard for sure.
But there is a big distinction here, like a huge distinction.
Okay.
The distinction is, if I want to go and let's say get into raids. It only requires 10 people, so I can probably find 10 people eventually. It's easier to find 10 people to play with. World versus World, if you want to do like the big fights and stuff, you need like 30 plus people, or it's going to be way harder to hold your own. And so it's so much easier to get a group going in raids than it is to get a group going in World versus World. The culture is just so different.
I'm not sure how true that is, actually. I think it's harder to get a really good group going in World versus World.
Yeah, I'll make a condition. It's easy to go and tag up and have 30 people join your tag. It's hard to have 30 people who are willing to put on a build. Whereas raids, it's much easier to get people who are willing to put on a build and kill the boss.
That is true. That is definitely true. But I think that I don't know. I guess I view that as kind of running before you can walk in a sense, like, and maybe this is actually like a communication issue that the game has and maybe the community has. I feel like you're talking about the ultimate, like, giga endgame, aspirational, high-tier stuff of World versus World. It's aspirational to be leading that group. To be a part of that group is easy, but to lead that group, I think, is aspirational. If that makes any sense. For example, I joined a complete pug yesterday, and it was actually, I think the guy commanding it was actually a GVG guy. I recognize the name. Pretty well-known player, I think. And you know what? The squad was absolutely fucking slamming. I'm not gonna lie. We like farmed people all day, all night, right? Like we absolutely did. And it was like a bunch of good players who were, you know, I think GVG guys, or just like at least organized play. And guys, look, I did this on stream. You can go watch the VOD. Oh, actually, I guess you can't. I deleted the VOD. But you know, yeah, you can blame Bic for that one.
Wait, what? Oh no.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think you can get into these groups. Like, you can get into these groups, but leading that group, I think, is a really, really big aspirational thing. Yeah, like when I think about when I got into World versus World, it took us a long time. It took like months of kind of recruiting and building up my guild back in HOT until it actually became like a proper force. Yeah. Before then, you know, we were scuffed. We were scrappy. We were learning and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely think that being a leader of these groups is like a big aspirational thing. My
complaint is that I view it as extremely difficult. Like, you're talking about, you know, months of grinding. I think that it's even harder now, because why would anyone join me? That's the question. Why would anyone join me? And the answer is there's no reason to, unless they really just want to help me become a better commander. The only way to become a good commander is to be a commander and make mistakes.
Yeah, the thing is, though, this is why your approach doesn't work. You can't do it this way. You have to do it the other way around. Nobody's going to join you because you don't have a reputation. You haven't built it up. People don't know you. So you have to do that. You have to do the social climbing. You have to do the socializing first.
No, but I have. I've been running with Azure constantly. Yeah. And Azure passes me the tag to give me a chance to lead, and half of the squad leaves. And guess what half of the squad it is? All the experienced players. They all leave the second that Azure leaves. And so guess what? We go into a fight. I'm practicing the things that I've learned from Azure and that Azure's taught me. And then we get slammed, and then more people leave. And then I'm like, okay, well, now we have no comp and we have half the numbers as the opponent. There's absolutely zero hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
And again,
it's not easy.
And by the way, I'm like not mad about it. Like, I totally get it. But what I'm saying is that it is World versus World is in a very difficult spot, because somebody like me who's pretty engaged is like, hell yeah, I want to learn how to do this. And everyone's like, hell yeah, brother, you can do it. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, actually, none of us really want to play with you until you know how to do it. I'm like, well, the only way for me to know how to do it is to have people mentor me, and then for you to stick around and allow me to make a few mistakes here and there and like get good. I view the amount of time required in World versus World to be so great that I actually don't view it as like something that I could plausibly do. Like,
that's fair.
It doesn't. I mean, that's fair. And I think that if I can't do that, then I actually think that most people can't. Because I'd be willing to put in quite a lot of effort.
I definitely agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I think that World versus World is like in a terrible situation where it's really hard to get new commanders. That's what it seems like to me.
I think, yeah, sure. It's definitely a problem within the game mode, and not everyone's cut out for it, for sure. It's definitely one of the more, like, very extreme, like, hyper endgame things that you can do in the game, yeah. I would liken it to being a raid leader in, like, Ceres. Right? Like, I think you're looking at it like it should be, like, Veil Guardian. I don't think that commanding is like Veil Guardian at all. Like, it's very much like HTCM, Ceres-CM. Like, it's absolutely, like, leading a world versus...
I view it as far harder than that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree, actually. I think it's, like, yeah, it's absolutely, like, giga, ultra endgame, for sure, in World versus World. Like, I think that, yeah, like, most players are not going to tag, and most players are going to be much better suited to following groups, for sure. And it takes a long time.
The World versus World community actively doesn't want new commanders. They say that they do, but they do not. Like, put it this way. I would say probably at least a fourth of the time that I, like, public tag, somebody says, shit, commander, tag down, like, this is ridiculous, right? And... and so, I mean, I am impervious to this at this point. I think I let it get to me once actually in the last 3 months. This guy was just harping on me constantly in the team chat, and I just was like, "Fine, I'll leave." But otherwise, like I think that I'm probably able to handle that more than the average player. And so if you're like, oh man, I want to get into this world versus, I'm just gonna like pugman and like run around EBG and like learn. I think most people are gonna like eventually quit because the community just like throws them under the bus.
Look, I mean, I would just say the way to do this is 100%. You join a guild, you play regularly, you improve your skills, you become well known as a good, reliable player, and then you start tagging. If you do it the other way, it will never work. You will get absolutely... I agree. If you don't do it that way, you'll get torn to shreds, and the fucking wolves will eat you alive. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But yeah, don't do that. Like, you have to do it the other way around. You must, you know, get involved with the community, build up your reputation, improve as a player from the Zerg perspective, learn what commanders are doing, understand, like, the flow of the fight. Once you have a feel for the flow of the fight and, like, the flow of how World vs. World plays out, then you hit the tag button. If you start tagging, then, oh boy, you better be ready for one hell of a wild ride and a bit of a grind, right? Like, 100%.
Yeah, so this wasn't necessarily supposed to be all about me. The point was that I can understand why World versus World feels a little bit quiet. It's because you've now separated people into all of these very specific teams, and they don't want to play with anyone but they're like 2 commanders that are like giga experienced. So they all commander log. So you've got all these fights that happen at specific times, and then they immediately stop playing if anyone else tags up. And so it's very difficult to gain momentum because I go into, like, there's one Pugmander on right now on this NA server. And so we're all just kind of following him around. But, like, if you want to do, like, fights and stuff, you essentially just have to wait on these commanders. You can't convince the plebs to, like, comp up and, like, win. It's like private tags or bust, basically, for that stuff. So I just chill PPT with the whatever commander's up, and I'm like fine with that. But this doesn't help me get better at World versus World. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I want to get better, I have to be in those groups, or I won't learn.
Yeah.
What's what it seems like to me. But then if I want to find those groups, they're not like readily apparent. So I can find those groups. Like, it's pretty easy. I'm gonna like reach out to Chef. I'm gonna reach out to like all these people and be like, yo, who's running? Who can I hang out with? Who can teach me? Like, I can do that. But the average player is not gonna be able to do that. So they go in, they see that there's no tags up, and they're like, oh, World versus World is dead.
I actually do think this is a problem. And then people... I think once again, this actually kind of gets solved by the competitive architecture. Right now, do you want to know the reality, Sneb? There is zero reason for a good player in World versus World to ever interact with a bad player in World versus World.
Exactly. It's a huge problem.
Yeah, it's a problem, but I think that, again, that just comes down to the fact that winning doesn't matter. Like, ultimately, if winning mattered, then it would be very much in everyone's interest to actually be more involved, yeah. Like, people have figured out that, wait, hang on a minute. If we don't public tag, the game is actually way more fun because we don't have to deal with people who aren't willing to change their build, who aren't willing to come on voice, who aren't willing to listen, and who aren't willing to improve. And yeah, that's what people do. I
would agree with them too. It's way more fun playing with people who all have the same mindset.
Yeah.
That's why people go in statics for raids. It makes perfect sense. It's just so interesting though, because unlike raids, World versus World is just in this situation where you can't just make a group and like progress together very easily. It's a little bit more
because you're playing against other people. That's why.
Yeah, because you're playing against other people. It's inherently slightly more competitive, and I think there's stronger social bonds in World versus World relative to.
The thing is, in PvE, you can even beat Ceres with pretty bad players at the end of the day. In world versus world, if you have people who don't improve, you will never win. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Like in raids, you'll kind of get there in the end. In world versus world, if people aren't on the same page, then you're fucked, right? Like there's no hope for you. Like there is absolutely no way that you're going to be capable of ever winning. Which is kind of like the big difference there. Like it's just in PvE, like being good is kind of optional. Like I'm not gonna lie, World vs. I'm kind of overdoing it here a little bit. Like World vs. World is a Peepo game mode, guys. Don't get too much of an ego about it. Like it is PvP for Peepos, if I'm being honest, in the best possible way. I mean that as a compliment. It's fucking based. But like it is against other players, and that means that you can lose. And like with raids, you'll just eventually get there. Like you can't get held back by other people in PvE in the same way that you can in World versus World, to be honest. There's no inherent systems that cat wrangle pugs to an area without a tag. Yeah, I do think that Sneb is right here about the reliance of you're very reliant on commanders in World versus World to get anything done. This is very, very true, to be honest. But in a way, like that's World versus World, right? It's definitely a feature of the game mode, I guess, as the way I see it. And in my opinion, the solution to it is very much making winning matter. The moment there's a competitive objective is the exact same moment that all of those guilds who are private tagging right now are going to work with you. They're going to want you to help you win, right? They're going to want to help you learn. They're going to want to make you as effective as possible. They're going to help you with builds. They're going to help you with like leading, right? That is when people are going to engage. That's when people are going to care about small scale again, right? Like that's what you got to do to fix it, in my opinion. Like this is just like a competitive thing. It needs to be fixed.